The Galactic Concorde watched Earth the way one watched a spark drifting through vacuum, briefly curious, never afraid. From the high chambers of the Concorde spire, the galaxy's most powerful species observed the blue planet on floating holoscreens. Earth was loud, crowded, and primitive, as people fought each other constantly. They polluted their world. They had only just learned to step beyond their own star. "Classify them," said High Arbiter Kethrix, his crystalline limbs glowing faintly. A dozen advisors responded at once. Carbon-based. Short-lived. Emotion-driven. Militarily unstable. Technologically immature. The final verdict appeared in golden glyphs. Species designation, human. Threat level, negligible. Laughter rippled through the chamber. "They will destroy themselves before they ever reach us," said Admiral Veyron of the Ulathi fleet, his voice smooth and amused. "Like so many before." Kethrix inclined his head. "Then we observe. Nothing more." No one objected. On Earth, no one knew they were being judged. Humanity's first true leap into the stars came not through conquest, but desperation. Earth's population had passed 10 billion. Climate systems were failing. Resources were stretched thin. Governments argued while time ran out. The answer came from an unlikely place, a failed fusion experiment in a buried lab beneath the Alps. Dr. Elena Rao stared at the impossible data with shaking hands. "We didn't just fold space," she whispered. "We cheated it." Her team didn't cheer. They didn't understand yet. But within 5 years, humanity had something no one else in the galaxy had ever built the same way: a brute force jump drive. It was inefficient, dangerous, ugly. But it worked. Human ships did not glide into hyperspace like alien vessels. They tore their way in, ripping holes with raw energy and mathematics that bordered on madness. The Concorde noticed immediately. "Impossible," said Kethrix as the first human ship vanished from Sol and reappeared near Proxima Centauri. They skipped 3 developmental stages. "Luck," Veyron replied. "Nothing more." Still, observation drones were deployed. Humanity's first extrasolar colony, New Dawn, lasted less than a year. The Krell Syndicate, a predatory trade empire operating on the galaxy's fringe, claimed the system without bothering to check who lived there. Their ships arrived like knives in the dark. New Dawn burned. When Earth received the broken transmission, cities in flames, colonists screaming, a sky filled with alien warships, something changed. The Galactic Concorde expected panic. Instead, Earth went quiet. No speeches. No threats. Every major human power activated emergency unity protocols that had existed only on paper. Rival nations shared data. Military secrets were unlocked. Corporate shipyards were seized and repurposed overnight. Dr. Rao was pulled from her lab and placed in charge of something that had never existed before: the Strategic Human Defense Initiative. "We can't fight them head-on," she said to the assembled leaders. "They're stronger, faster, older." "Then what do we do?" asked one general. Elena looked up, eyes burning. "We learn faster than they expect." The Krell Syndicate didn't even notice the human response at first. Their patrols reported small, crude ships probing the edges of their territory. Human vessels looked fragile: thin armor, exposed heat signatures, inefficient reactors. Krell captains laughed. "Easy prey," one snarled. Then the humans attacked. Not fleets. Not formations. They hit supply lines. Communication relays. Fuel depots. Navigation beacons. Human ships didn't retreat when damaged. They adapted mid-battle, rerouting systems in ways alien engineers considered impossible, or suicidal. One Krell cruiser disabled a human frigate's engines. Instead of surrendering, the human captain overloaded the jump drive and teleported half his ship inside the cruiser. Both vessels were destroyed. The Concorde watched the footage in stunned silence. "They killed themselves," said an advisor. "No," Kethrix replied slowly. "They chose the outcome." As weeks passed, the Krell advance stalled. Their ships vanished. Crews mutinied. Fear spread through Syndicate space. And with every battle, human tactics evolved. They studied enemy weapons in real time. They modified armor between engagements. They used losses as data. "They're not fighting to win," Admiral Veyron said uneasily. "They're fighting to learn." The High Arbiter said nothing. For the first time in 10,000 years, the Galactic Concorde adjusted a classification. Threat level, reassessment required. Far from the Concorde spire, a battered human fleet gathered near the ruins of New Dawn. Captain Marcus Hale looked out at the burning world. "They think we'll break," he said quietly to his crew. He turned back to the stars, jaw set. They don't know us. The Galactic Concord had ruled for so long that fear had become an abstract idea. For 10,000 cycles, no species had challenged its authority. Wars happened, yes, but only between minor powers carefully contained. The Concord existed to maintain balance, to decide which civilizations rose and which were quietly erased. It was not cruel, its members believed. It was necessary. Humans complicated that belief. High Arbiter Kethrix stood before the council circle as the chamber darkened. A rotating hologram showed the ruins of a Krell fuel nexus, torn apart with surgical precision. This was not a raid, Kethrix said. It was a lesson. Admiral Veyron's mandibles clicked in irritation. The Krell are disorganized criminals. Their failure proves nothing. Then explain this, said Archivist Thale, projecting new data. Human attack patterns unfolded in layers. Feints, false retreats, decoy signatures. Each engagement adjusted tactics based on live enemy responses. They are iterating in combat, Thale said. Faster than any species on record. A murmur rippled through the chamber. Kethrix's voice hardened. Humans were classified as negligible. That was an error. Veyron straightened. Are you suggesting intervention? No, Kethrix said. Observation with limits. Those limits would prove fatal. Captain Marcus Hale watched the stars bend as his fleet dropped from jump space. The ships were mismatched, old destroyers beside retrofitted cargo haulers bristling with weapons. No two hulls were identical. Human engineering had become chaotic by design. Predictability was a weakness. Status, Hale said. Enemy patrol detected, replied Lieutenant Sato. Krell-like cruisers. They haven't seen us yet. Hale smiled thinly. They won't. Not the version of us they expect. The human fleet powered down active systems, drifting cold and silent. Then they launched something new. Not missiles. Noise. Electromagnetic ghosts flooded the sector. False engine wakes. Phantom jump signatures. Entire fleets that did not exist. The Krell patrol panicked. Their ships spread out, firing wildly into empty space. That was when the humans struck. Rail cannons punched through shields from impossible angles. Boarding pods slammed into hulls before alarms finished sounding. Inside one Krell cruiser, alien warriors surged toward the breach, only to find humans already inside, moving fast, communicating in bursts of clipped code. Room clear. Take the bridge. Download everything. The humans didn't kill unless they had to. They stole data. Minutes later, the fleet vanished. On Earth, Dr. Elena Rao stared at the flood of information pouring in from captured Krell systems. They trade with half the outer rim, she said. Weapons, fuel, slaves. A general leaned forward. Can we use that? Elena nodded. We already are. Human diplomats, unofficial, deniable, had begun reaching out through black channels. They spoke not of conquest but of opportunity. The message was simple. Help us weaken the Krell and we will show you how humans fight. Some laughed. Others listened. The Concord noticed the shift too late. Entire trade routes collapsed overnight. Minor powers withdrew from Krell space. Mercenary fleets refused contracts. Fear was spreading, but not of the Concord. Of humans. They are destabilizing the region, Veyron snapped. Authorize suppression. Kethrix hesitated. To strike them now would legitimize them, the Arbiter said. They remain small. At that moment, a new alert flashed across the chamber. Unidentified human vessel, entering Concord space. Silence fell. No species enters Concord territory uninvited, Thale whispered. The human ship was alone. Scarred. Underarmed. It broadcast a simple request. Diplomatic contact. Against protocol, Kethrix allowed it. The hologram shifted, revealing a human woman in a dark uniform. Her posture was relaxed, but her eyes were sharp. I am Ambassador Mara Vance, she said. I speak for Earth. You trespass, Veyron growled. Mara nodded. We jump rough. Sorry about that. Several counselors bristled at the casual tone. You are under Concord observation, Kethrix said. Your species is not recognized. That's why I'm here, Mara replied. We want recognition. You offer nothing, Veyron said. Your kind is weak. Mara smiled. We know, she said. That's why we fight smarter. She raised a hand. Data spilled into the chamber, Krell atrocities, Concord-approved sanctions, quiet exterminations hidden behind legal language. You let the Krell burn our colony, Mara continued. You watched. You judged. You did nothing. Kethrix's glow dimmed. The galaxy is not governed by emotion. Neither are we, Mara said. But we remember. The feed cut. The human ship jumped away, leaving behind something else. A compressed data seed detonated inside Concord networks, spreading faster than countermeasures could respond. Not a virus. A mirror. Every suppressed decision. Every quiet genocide. Every species erased for balance. Across the galaxy, protected archives opened. Truth spilled out. Chaos followed. Client species rebelled. Neutral worlds armed themselves. Trust in the Concord shattered. And through it all, humans advanced. Not as conquerors. As a force no one could ignore. Captain Hale watched alien fleets clash with Krell remnants near a shattered moon. Sir, Sato said softly, we started something big. Hale nodded. Good, he said. Because now they're paying attention. Far away, High Arbiter Kethrix stared at the burning symbol of the Concord. For the first time he felt something dangerously close to fear. Humans, he whispered. They are not breaking. The Galactic Concord did not forgive embarrassment. When rebellion flared across 100 systems and Concord symbols were torn down by species that had once bowed, the Council's patience ended. Truth had been exposed. Authority questioned. Order threatened. There would be an answer. High Arbiter Kethrix stood alone in the war chamber, staring at the tactical map. For the first time in his long existence he authorized something forbidden. Release the Sentinel fleets, he said quietly. The order echoed like a death sentence. Humanity felt the shift before the first shots were fired. Long-range sensors across Sol screamed warnings as space-time rippled. Concord warships emerged not with violence, but with terrifying precision, perfect formations, flawless energy discipline, weapons humming with restrained power. They did not target Earth. They targeted everything else. Human colonies vanished in pillars of white light. Shipyards were erased. Listening posts went silent one by one. The message was clear. This ends now. On Earth, emergency councils convened beneath red lights. Admiral Reyes slammed a fist onto the table. They're not fighting us, he said. They're erasing our future. Dr. Elena Rao stood slowly. Then we changed the rules, she said. Reyes turned. We don't have the firepower. Elena met his gaze. We don't need it. Captain Marcus Hale's fleet jumped into the Kale Rift just as Concord Sentinels finished sterilizing a human mining world. The planet was still burning, its atmosphere boiling away. Hale's hands tightened on the command rail. All ships, he said, voice steady. No retreat today. His crew looked at him, tired, scarred, afraid. But ready. The Sentinels turned as one, weapons locking on. Human vessels, came a cold, amplified voice. You are in violation of Concord law. Power down. Hale opened the channel. No, he said simply. The battle began. Concord ships moved like machines of destiny, perfect arcs of energy fire, shields layered with alien physics humans barely understood. Human ships exploded. Then adapted. Fighters altered thrust patterns mid-flight, dodging beams calculated to be unavoidable. Frigates vented entire reactor sections to redirect power to weapons. Destroyers rammed Sentinels head-on, detonating jump drives at point-blank range. It was brutal, chaotic, wasteful. And it worked. For every human ship lost, Concord formations fractured. Their perfect logic struggled against opponents who did not care about survival, only outcome. They're using loss as leverage, a Sentinel commander transmitted in disbelief. They weaponized sacrifice. Hale's flagship took a direct hit. Alarms screamed. Hull plates peeled away. Captain, Sato shouted. We can't hold. Hale watched a Sentinel battleship align for the killing blow. Yes, he said quietly. We can. He keyed a final command. The human fleet vanished. Across the battlefield, empty space rippled. Then hundreds of human ships reappeared, not where they had been but inside the enemy formation. The Concord had never seen it done. Human jump drives did not require safe distances. They ignored them. Ships emerged within shield envelopes, inside weapon arcs, sometimes inside other ships entirely. Explosions blossomed like dying stars. The Sentinel fleet shattered. Survivors fled. The galaxy watched in stunned silence. In the Concord spire, alarms howled. Data streams collapsed under impossible reports. They folded space locally, Archivist Thale whispered. That should destroy them. It does, Kethrix replied, staring at the carnage. They accept it. Veyron's voice trembled. They are insane. No, Kethrix said. They are desperate, and that makes them unstoppable. But the worst was yet to come. Deep beneath Earth's surface, Elena Rao stood before a device no alien species had ever imagined building. It was not a weapon. It was a signal. Humanity had discovered something while studying Concord physics, an ancient layer of spacetime, compressed and unused. A leftover framework from the galaxy's birth. They called it the deep frame. And they had learned how to knock on it. Once we activate this, a technician said nervously, there's no hiding. Elena nodded. We're done hiding. She pressed the switch. Across the galaxy, sensors screamed as a pulse rolled outward. Not destructive but undeniable. A declaration. We are here. Unknown species stirred from isolation. Ancient intelligences turned their attention outward. Even the Concord's oldest archives unlocked automatically, reacting to the signal. Something very old had heard humanity. Kethrix felt it then, an awareness pressing against the galaxy itself. What have they done? He whispered. On the ruins of Kale Rift, Captain Hale watched the stars shimmer strangely. Command, Sato said slowly. We're getting contacts. How many? Hale asked. Sato swallowed. All of them. The galaxy shifted. Stars themselves seemed to pulse as the deep frame signal rippled outward. Species long thought extinct, civilizations hiding in isolated pockets, and even beings the Concord had classified as myth, all paused and turned their gaze toward humanity. No one had ever reached the deep frame before. It was a scaffold of spacetime, older than the oldest recorded stars, a lattice the universe itself had almost forgotten. And humans were not afraid. In the Concord spire, High Arbiter Kethrix paced. His crystalline limbs reflected the flickering holoscreens, each one showing distant fleets altering course, long-dormant alien habitats awakening, entire civilizations now watching the human signal. Impossible, Veyron said, grinding his mandibles. They are not a simple species. They are a vector for something older. Do not underestimate them again, Kethrix whispered. They are reckless, yes. But their recklessness carries comprehension no species has shown. Archivist Thale projected a data stream of human tactics. Every battle, every loss, every adaptation, they do not merely survive. They convert experience into exponential strategy. Their species learns faster than the galaxy's own laws predict. Veyron's voice was trembling. And now they have awakened, the Watchers. Meanwhile, across a shattered moon orbiting Kale Rift, Captain Marcus Hale stood on the bridge of USS Prometheus, surveying the alien fleets fleeing the human advance. They're not running from us, Lieutenant Sato said, her eyes scanning sensors. They're running from something else. Hale's jaw tightened. Then we meet it. Within hours, an unknown fleet of colossal ships emerged from beyond known space. Their hulls glimmered with shifting light, almost organic in form, and their weapons were incomprehensible, pulsing fields that distorted space itself. Hale gripped the command rail. These aren't Concord ships. Not Alothi. Not Krell. Something older. Something that should not exist. A deep voice resonated through the human communication channels, untranslatable at first. Then it crystallized into perfect English. Humans of soul. You have awakened us. Why? Hale glanced at Sato. I think we have some explaining to do. Back on Earth, Dr. Elena Rao activated the final layers of the deep frame. Holographic projections of incomprehensible geometry filled her lab. It was alive, vibrating with consciousness. This isn't a weapon, she murmured. It's an invitation. And they can see everything we've ever done. A deep presence, ancient and intelligent, spoke within her mind, not through language but thought. You are small, fragile. Yet you have reached out. You understand danger, adaptation, loss. You are Apex. Elena's eyes widened. We didn't come here to fight. We came here to survive. And to grow. Growth comes with consequences. Concord, and you, must be judged. The Concord spire trembled with the arrival of these ancient entities, now identified as the observers. Beings that had watched galaxies rise and fall, civilizations extinguished before they learned the first whisper of light. High Arbiter Kethrix tried to maintain calm. The humans have interfered with the natural order, he said. The observers spoke, their voice a chorus. They are not interference. They are anomaly. They adapt beyond expectation. They evolve beyond control. You have underestimated them. Veyron growled. They are still mortal. We can still crush them. Do you understand mortality? The observer's words reverberated like quakes across his mind. They have already transcended your definition of survival. You will not contain them, In the outer rim, Captain Hale received a transmission from the Deep Frame Network. It displayed the positions of Concord fleets, strategic vulnerabilities, and even hidden nodes controlling reality manipulation technologies. "They think they can destroy us," Hale said. "We know they can't. But we can make them rethink everything." Sato looked at the data, awestruck. "Every fleet, every weapon, every colony, they've left patterns we can exploit." Hale nodded. "Then we don't fight like they expect. We fight like humans, unpredictable, relentless, and impossible to erase." Across the galaxy, the Concorde attempted a counterstrike. Hundreds of Sentinel fleets coordinated in a combined assault, targeting human strongholds. But human colonies were no longer passive, they were nodes in a vast network. Every destroyed colony immediately triggered adaptive responses elsewhere. Human engineers reconfigured jump drives mid-combat. Civilians designed improvised weapons and defenses faster than alien science had predicted. The Concorde fleets were slowed, disoriented, and eventually routed by strategies no one had foreseen. Even more unnerving was the humans' diplomacy. With Krell remnants, neutral species, and once silent civilizations awakened by the Deep Frame, humans brokered alliances in days that the Concorde had spent centuries building. They were no longer isolated. They were a galactic force, fast, fluid, and unbroken. High Arbiter Kethrix watched a final report in horror. Human forces simultaneously defending Earth, striking Concorde holdings, and expanding through newly awakened sectors, were now everywhere at once. "They are impossible," Veyron hissed. "Every system we touch they adapt. Every fleet we deploy they anticipate. They are rewriting existence." Kethrix did not respond. He only stared at the map, realizing that humanity had not just survived the galaxy's judgment, they had reshaped it. And far away, Elena Rao whispered to the Deep Frame Network, sending a single simple message into the void. "We are here. We will not break. We are human." The observers responded, their presence flowing like living stars across the galaxy. "We will watch. But they are ours to observe. And they will astonish you." For the first time, the galaxy understood that humans were no longer just another species. They were something new, something dangerous, something eternal in potential. And the Concorde, the supposedly untouchable authority, had learned its first real lesson. Never underestimate the human mind nor the human will. The galaxy had changed. No species doubted humanity now. Not the Krell, not the Elathi, not even the Concorde itself. And yet, fear often drove decisions faster than reason. The Concorde decided on a direct strike. High Arbiter Kethrix convened the War Council in the Spire, the chamber alive with holograms of human systems, entire fleets converging on Sol and its outer colonies. "We will crush them at the heart," Kethrix declared, voice cold as black ice. "They cannot withstand simultaneous assault from all directions. They will break." Admiral Veyron, normally composed, seemed uneasy. "They are more than resilient. They do not fight to survive, they fight to transform the battlefield." "Then we remove their battlefield," Kethrix replied. "Strike every known human world at once." Meanwhile, Captain Marcus Hale stood aboard USS Prometheus, his crew bracing for the largest assault humanity had ever faced. "Multiple fleets detected," reported Lieutenant Sato. "Sentinels, Elathi, Krell remnants, all converging on Sol simultaneously." Hale gripped the rail, eyes scanning the holographic display. "They think we'll defend in the open. They think we'll meet force with force. They're wrong." He pressed a command. Across human colonies, blackout protocols activated. Communications went dark. Mining stations, research outposts, civilian transports, all vanished from enemy sensors, leaving a deceptive empty space. "Now," Hale whispered. Human strategy was no longer conventional. They divided the Concorde offensive into 3 distinct traps. Decoy defenses, colonies left visibly operational were filled with automated but expendable systems. They simulated normal activity while luring Concorde fleets into precise kill zones. Adaptive strikes, fast human corvettes, equipped with experimental jump drives, attacked supply lines, command centers, and fleet reserves simultaneously, striking where the enemy thought they were safest. Deep frame integration, hidden fleets used the deep frame network to anticipate enemy maneuvers before they occurred, effectively predicting decades of strategy in seconds. The Concorde fleets fell into the trap. In the Kale Rift, the first trap was sprung. A Concorde Sentinel fleet, confident and precise, pursued a human decoy convoy. The ships fired energy beams, warping space in calculated arcs. Human vessels exploded in controlled detonations, appearing to be destroyed. But then the corvettes emerged behind the sentinels. They fired destabilizing microjump charges, new experimental devices that tore apart shields without conventional contact. Concorde ships shuddered as shields melted, energy grids overloaded, and cruisers collapsed like origami. Hale watched the sensors. They expected resistance. They didn't expect sacrifice. One by one, human ships risked destruction to cripple larger fleets. Entire Concorde task groups disintegrated before they could realize the scale of the ambush. At the same time, Earth's Orbital Command Center received a Concorde transmission, a single ultimatum. Humanity will surrender. Defiance will result in total annihilation. Dr. Elena Rao responded, voice calm. We are not surrendering. You will learn that humanity does not break. We only rise. The Concorde paused, unaccustomed to such unwavering certainty. In the Outer Rim, a diplomatic offensive complemented the war effort. Humans had awakened silent species with the deep frame signal. Ancient traders, mysterious exiles, even semi-mythical watchers, small but powerful, now provided intelligence, ships, and unique technology. One fleet of translucent warships, piloted by a species previously unknown to the galaxy, interposed themselves between human supply lines and Concorde forces, giving Hale's fleet leverage that no one expected. Where did they come from? Muttered a Krell admiral. Humans called them, said Veyron, voice trembling. And they obey. The battles escalated into full-scale galactic chess, each side moving fleets, spies, and misinformation. Hale directed simultaneous attacks. A false retreat at the Andril cluster lured Concorde reinforcements into an asteroid field rigged with collapsing gravity wells. Entire fleets were shredded in minutes. A micro-assault on the Concorde spire sent drones through hidden jump corridors, mapping defenses, sabotaging power relays, and leaving holographic decoys of human vessels where none existed. A strike on Krell supply hubs destabilized their economy, forcing mercenaries to withdraw mid-battle. By the end of the first cycle of conflict, the Concorde had lost more than one-third of its active fleets. Entire sectors began to panic, fearing humanity's unpredictability. On Sol Station, Captain Hale addressed his fleet. Today we've survived more than they thought possible. Tomorrow we fight smarter, faster, and harder. Every loss they inflicted taught us how to win. Every strategy they expected has become our advantage. Lieutenant Sato, checking incoming communications from distant colonies, spoke quietly, Sir. The deep frame is reporting multiple observer entities responding. They're analyzing human strategy in real time. Hale smiled grimly. Good. Let them watch. Let them learn. Humanity has only begun to play. Across the galaxy, Concorde leadership convened in crisis. High Arbiter Kethrix's glow was faint, almost waning. We underestimated them. They are apex in every sense of the word. Their strategies defy probability. Veyron's mandibles clicked in agitation. We cannot fight like this. Every fleet we deploy is destroyed or circumvented. They are not just resisting, they are reshaping the battlefield. Kethrix stared at the holomap, showing the human network expanding across newly liberated colonies. Then we face a terrible truth, we do not control this war. Humanity does. The words were unthinkable. The night sky over New Dawn Colony shimmered as Hale's fleet jumped in for resupply. Civilians worked alongside military engineers to repair vessels, retrofit jump drives, and coordinate new adaptive defenses. A child looked up at the stars. Do you think they'll come back? Hale crouched beside her. Yes, he said, voice steady. But they'll never understand us. And that is our strength. For the first time, the galaxy realized that humans did not just fight. They transformed conflict into a living, unpredictable entity, one that no power, no fleet, and no ancient being could fully contain. And humanity had only begun to strike. The galaxy burned in calculated chaos. Humanity had shifted from survival to domination, not through conquest but through incomprehensible strategy, cunning, and adaptability. Entire Concorde sectors were destabilized, the Ulathi fleets in disarray, and the Krell remnants were scattered. And yet the Concorde refused to yield. High Arbiter Kethrix called the War Council one final time. His crystalline form gleamed with tension. Humanity is no longer an isolated anomaly, he said. They have incorporated the deep frame. They anticipate our every move. They have allies we cannot name. And they have transformed the very concept of war. Admiral Veyron's mandibles clicked nervously. They are reckless, yes, but mortal. If we strike at Sol, at the heart of their operation, we can end this. Kethrix shook his head. They are not mortal in the way we understand. Their mortality is an advantage. Every sacrifice is data. Every loss strengthens them. Archivist Thale's voice trembled. High Arbiter, they are rewriting reality around our strategies. Their reach is everywhere. Kethrix remained silent. For the first time he felt fear. On Earth, Dr. Elena Rao and Captain Marcus Hale coordinated the greatest human defense in history. The Concorde's combined fleet, a force 3 times larger than anything humanity had ever faced, entered Sol's system confident, precise, and lethal. Hale looked at the holographic projection. They think they're coming for us. They're wrong. We've already prepared for this. Sir? Lieutenant Sato asked. Every jump route they can use is monitored. Every formation they deploy is calculated. They are walking into a trap designed by every human who has ever fought, lost, or learned. The battle began with the Concorde fleets firing a salvo that could have obliterated a small star. Planets trembled as energy beams streaked across the void. Human fleets did not fire back immediately. They waited. As Concorde ships advanced, human corvettes jumped behind them. Automated drones projected holographic decoys in hundreds of locations. Mining stations detonated in precise sequences to alter trajectories, creating deadly gravitational anomalies. Concorde captains panicked. Their perfect formations unraveled under pressure they could not calculate. And then humanity struck. Jump drives overloaded mid-battle, teleporting small squadrons into the heart of enemy formations. Explosions cascaded in synchronized rhythm, crippling fleet after fleet. The Concorde's largest vessels, designed to survive centuries of war, were shredded in minutes. A Krell admiral's voice crackled over comms. Impossible. They are inside our shields. How? Hale responded calmly, we're humans. That's how. In orbit above Earth, Dr. Rao activated the final layer of the deep frame network. The holographic interface expanded to cover the planet. Pulses of energy radiated outward, not destructive but transformative. The deep frame allowed humanity to see the enemy before they acted, to anticipate movements at scales no alien species could comprehend. It also allowed them to communicate simultaneously with awakened species across the galaxy, coordinating fleets in ways the Concorde could not imagine. Now, Rao whispered, we end this. The Concorde, desperate, unleashed their ultimate weapon, a fleet of Sentinel Titans, massive vessels capable of tearing entire planets apart. Their arrival was meant to crush humanity in a single decisive strike. Hale's voice cut through the comms. All units, execute the Phoenix maneuver. Human fleets disappeared. Sensors scrambled. Then, in the blink of an eye, hundreds of human ships reappeared inside the Titan fleet's formation, disabling energy cores, severing jump conduits, and detonating controlled reactor collapses from within. Entire Concorde divisions evaporated in blinding light. Veyron's voice broke in terror. They cannot exist, how are they? Kethrix could only watch as human ships, battered and scarred, emerged victorious from impossible odds. The battle ended not with a surrender, but with a declaration. A human flagship broadcast across all remaining Concorde channels. We are humans. We do not break. We do not yield. We will not be contained. You can attempt to destroy us, but every attack only makes us stronger, faster, smarter. The galaxy belongs to no one, but we belong in it, and we will endure. Across the stars the Concorde faltered. Elathi fleets retreated. Krell remnants surrendered. Even the observers, ancient beings who had watched galaxies collapse, paused, silent in awe. Captain Hale stood on the bridge of the Prometheus, surveying the wreckage of the Concorde fleet. Lieutenant Sato said quietly, Sir, we did it. They can't fight us anymore. Hale looked at her, eyes steely. No, he said. They can't understand us. And that is enough. Dr. Rao, observing the deep frame from Earth, turned to the command council. We didn't just survive. We proved that humanity is the apex, because we adapt, we endure, and we are willing to pay any cost to learn, grow, and protect what is ours. For the first time in millennia, the galaxy realized humans were not just another species. They were a force of unparalleled ingenuity, resilience, and power. Even the observers, watching silently from beyond the edges of space-time, could only acknowledge it. They are extraordinary. And yet, humanity did not stop. With Concorde fleets in retreat, human engineers began reconstruction. Colonies burned by past battles were restored. Supply lines and trade networks rebuilt faster than anyone could imagine. Former enemies became allies, not out of fear but respect. The galaxy was no longer ruled by old hierarchies. New alliances, forged through strategy, courage, and adaptability, emerged under human guidance. Captain Hale watched the stars, voice low. They thought we would break first. They were wrong. Dr. Rouse smiled beside him. They still don't understand us. And maybe they never will. The galaxy had changed forever. Humanity had not only survived, they had ascended. The galaxy was quiet. But it was a quiet charged with tension, the kind that comes after a storm when the world itself seems to pause and stare. Humanity had won the war. Entire Concord fleets were shattered or scattered, Krell remnants dismantled, and the Ulathi retreated to their core systems, shaken beyond recognition. The deep frame network hummed across the galaxy, linking human colonies, fleets, and allies in a web of intelligence no one could disrupt. And yet, humanity's victory was not a display of destruction. It was a testament to something far deeper. Ingenuity, resilience, and adaptability. On Earth, in the newly rebuilt Sol Command Center, Captain Marcus Hale addressed the Council. Holograms displayed the reconstructed map of the galaxy. Systems once controlled by the Concord now stabilized, trade routes reopened, colonies thriving again. They thought breaking us was simple, Hale said, voice firm. They thought we would fracture under pressure. They assumed fear would make us weak. But they didn't account for humanity. Dr. Elena Rao stood beside him, her hands resting lightly on the deep frame interface. We adapted faster than anyone could predict. We learned from every loss, every strike, every threat. We didn't just survive, we evolved. A young officer spoke up. Sir, the observers are still watching. Hale's eyes gleamed. Good. Let them watch. Let the galaxy see what it means to be human. Across the stars, human fleets moved not in panic but in purpose. Colonies once threatened by Concord annihilation had become fortresses of ingenuity. Mining stations converted into mobile weapons platforms. Scientific hubs retrofitted for defense and offense. Civilian vessels joined fleets, piloted by volunteers who had trained under extreme conditions. Even the Krell, those long-feared marauders, now negotiated quietly with human diplomats. Not as rulers but as supplicants seeking protection in exchange for allegiance. The message was clear: humanity did not conquer through fear. They led through unshakable intelligence and audacity. In orbit over the former Concord capital, the shattered spire glimmered like a dying star. High Arbiter Kethrix, the once proud arbiter of law and order, stood amid the ruins, his crystal frame cracked but still intact. They are extraordinary, he admitted to Veyron. Every calculation fails against them. They are apex. Veyron's mandibles clicked in reluctant agreement. They are mortal, he said, and yet, they are beyond our understanding. They adapt, they endure, and they strike when we cannot see it coming. They are the galaxy's apex, High Arbiter. We cannot deny it. Kethrix nodded slowly. Then we submit, not to their will but to their inevitability. On the bridge of USS Prometheus, Hale received a final communication. Not from the Concord, not from Krell, not from any known alien power, but from the deep frame itself. Humanity has proven its apex status. Observation continues. But none can contain you. None can surpass you without your consent. The galaxy awaits your next decision. Hale stared at the message. The galaxy, once ruled by fear and hierarchy, now lay open before them. And humanity's next move would define not only their destiny, but the destiny of countless civilizations. He looked at Sato and the bridge crew. We've won, he said softly. Not because we're the strongest, not because we have the most ships, not because we have the deadliest weapons, but because we're human. Sato smiled. And that's enough. Back on Earth, the people celebrated quietly but with pride. The wars had scarred them, but they had endured. Children born during the conflict now walked free under rebuilt skies. Scientists, engineers, and civilians alike took part in the reconstruction, shaping the galaxy alongside the fleets that had fought for survival. Elena Rao spoke to the council, her voice carrying calm authority. The galaxy feared us because they could not predict us. They could not understand us. But we will show them not just power but responsibility. Humans are apex, because we do not break and because we will choose how to wield that power wisely. The observers, those ancient entities who had witnessed countless species rise and fall, gathered beyond the edges of known space. Their presence shimmered like living constellations. They are remarkable, one murmured. No species has ever combined intelligence, adaptability, and audacity as they do. They are evolution incarnate. They are not rulers, another said. They are catalysts. They will remake the galaxy, not with fear but with their own vision. Even the most ancient beings, whose perspective stretched beyond stars and civilizations, had to acknowledge it. Humanity was unique, and the galaxy itself had shifted because of them. In the void near the Sol system, Captain Hale watched the stars. They thought humans would break first, he whispered. They were wrong. And for the first time the galaxy truly understood. Humans were apex not through domination but through mind, courage, and unyielding will. The stars were vast, infinite, and full of challenges. But humanity had already proven that no challenge was too great, no foe too powerful, and no odds too impossible. Humanity had risen. And the galaxy would never be the same again.